Welcome to another video to the channel, and this video is all about 50 AWS interview questions and answers. This could be quite useful. If you go through all the videos, you'll get a lot of frequently asked questions for interviews or frequently asked questions for certifications and all about AWS. And I hope this will be quite useful for you. Let's start with the first questions, which is very commonly asked about S3 and its benefit. So S3, referred as a simple storage service, which is a highly scalable and durable cloud storage service provided by Amazon Web Services. And it is designed to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere in the world. Its benefit includes easy scalability, durability, high availability, security, and low cost. Okay, what is Amazon EC2 and what are its benefits? So EC2, Elastic Computing Cloud, is highly scalable and flexible cloud computing service provided by Amazon Web Service. It allows users to rent virtual machines or instance, I could say, in the cloud to run their applications. And its benefits include flexibility, scalability, low cost, and ease of use. Okay, what is AWS Lambda and how does it work? Lambda is quite popular in AWS in recent years. So this could be most frequently asked questions. So AWS Lambda is a serverless compute service provided by AWS. It allows users to run without code to run without provisioning or managing servers. Users can simply upload their code to the AWS Lambda and the service takes care of the rest. So Lambda can be used to run code in the response to the events, such as changes to the data in the Amazon S3 or a part of a web application. So another would be, what is Amazon RDS and how does it work? So Amazon RDS, which refers to Relational Database Service, is a managed database service provided by Amazon Web Services. It allows users to deploy and manage scalable relational database in the cloud. RDS works by automatically provisioning and managing database instance, performing backups and the software updates, and providing features such as automated failover and multi-AZ deployments. So that could be very useful. It takes care of all maintenance. So what is Amazon DynamoDB and how does it work? So DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service provided by AWS. So AWS provided both RDBS as well as NoSQL. It allows user to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere in the world. So DynamoDB is very highly scalable and can handle millions of requests per second. It provides features such as automatic scaling, high availability, security, and backup and recovery. So nowadays, it's quite popular. So what is Amazon CloudFront and how does it work? So CloudFront is a content delivery network. Sometimes you could heard about CDN. It's a CDN service provided by AWS. It allows users to distribute content such as videos, images, and web pages to end users with low latency and high data transfer speeds. CloudFront works by caching content in the edge location, which are distributed around the world, and serving the content from the edge location that is closest to the end user. So it's kind of a caching mechanism provided to serve the contents to the user very fast. So what is Amazon ECS and how does it work? Don't confuse with ECS and EC2. ECS is Elastic Container Service, which is a highly scalable and flexible container orchestration service provided by Amazon Web Service. It allows users to run, manage, and scale Docker containers in the cloud ECS. ECS works by launching Docker containers on EC2 instance and managing the placement and scheduling of the containers. Well, the next question would be, what is Amazon SQS and how does it work? So SQS, it's a simple queue service, so which is fully managed message queuing service provided by the Amazon Web Services. It allows user to decouple and scale microservices, distributed systems, and serverless applications. So SQS works by storing messages in a queue and delivering them to one or more consumers when they are ready to process the message. So generally, if you have already implemented RabbitMQ, this is, out of the box provided the message queuing service by Amazon. So CloudWatch, one of the very important topic in Amazon, so and how does it work? So Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring and observability service provided by Amazon Web Service. It allows users to collect, monitor, and analyze metrics, logs, and events from AWS resources and applications. CloudWatch works by collecting data from various sources such as EC2 instance and storing the data in a centralized location for analysis. So it's a kind of alerting you can create. So you can create a lot of alerts in the CloudWatch. If something is wrong, like instance is down or something, then it can create an alert and let you know through the emails or messages or anything. So what are the various layers of cloud architecture? Okay, explained in the AWS training. It's simple. There are just four, which is cloud controller, cluster controller, storage controller, and node controller. If you go through each, you will get much more details in detail, but at the moment, these are the four. So what is the AWS CloudFormations and how does it work? So Amazon CloudFormations is a service provided by Amazon Web Service that allows user to create and manage AWS resources using a code templates. So CloudFormation works by defining a desired instruction in a code template and deploying the resources in a controlled and automated manner. So generally, when you want to create a instance, this is used. What is the Amazon VPC and how does it works? VPC refer to the virtual private cloud, and this is a service provided by AWS that allows user to create a private virtual network in the cloud. VPC works by creating a logical network that is isolated from other AWS resources and the internet, and allowing user to control network traffic and security. So what is Amazon Route 53 and how does it work? Route 53 is very popular topic, which is highly available and scalable domain name system. It's a DNS service provided by AWS, and it allows users to route internet traffic to AWS resources or external resources based on domain names. So Route 53 works by translating domain names into IP addresses and directing traffic to the appropriate resources. It's a DNS service. So what is AWS Elastic Beanstalk and how does it work? So Elastic Beanstalk is a fully managed service provided by AWS that allows users to deploy and scale web applications and services easily. So Elastic Beanstalk works by automatically provisioning and managing the infrastructure and resource required to run the applications, allowing users to focus on writing code. So management of service infrastructure is all taken care by the service called Beanstalk. So you just deploy the code and run it. So that's how the service works for the AWS. And this is quite popular as well. You don't have to literally manage the service. What is AWS Identity and Access Management and how does it work? This is most popular, most frequently asked questions and most important as well. Security and the provisioning. So IAM is a service provided by Amazon Web Service that allows users to manage access to AWS resources securely. So IAM works by creating and managing users, groups, and roles, and assigning permission to the entities to control access to resources. Please go through this, read a detailed description about IAM because this is mostly asked questions everywhere and mostly used. What is Amazon Elastic Cache, right? And how does it work? Amazon Elastic Cache is a fully managed in-memory data store service provided by AWS. It allows users to deploy and scale cache clusters for popular data stores such as Redis and Memcached in the cloud. Elastic Cache works by caching the data in the memory to improve application performance and reduce latency. Ideally, this is another caching service for the data. I believe Redis is you would have already used otherwise. What is AWS Direct Connect and how does it work? Yeah, another popular questions. This is a service provided by AWS that allows users to establish a dedicated network connection between their on-premise infrastructure and AWS. Direct Connect works by providing a private high bandwidth connections that bypass the internet to improve security and reliability and performance. So this is very useful if you have already on-premises infra and want to connect with the AWS. This is the one. This is the link between your on-premises and the AWS. So what is AWS Snowball and how does it work? AWS Snowball is a service provided by Amazon Web Service that allows users to transfer large amount of data into AWS and out of the AWS. Snowball works by providing a physical device that users can use to transfer data securely and efficiently between their on-premises infrastructure and AWS. So generally when you want to transfer the data, huge chunk of data out of the AWS, this is typically used at that time and the data transferred physically. Well, the next question is Amazon EMR and how does it work? So Amazon EMR is called Elastic Map Reduce, is fully managed service provided by Amazon Web Service that allows users to process large amount of data using open frameworks such as Apache Hadoop and Apache Spark. So EMR works by automatically provisioning and managing the infrastructure and resource required to run the data processing job. So it just help you to process the huge data with the help of frameworks like Hadoop and Spark. So what is Apache Glue and how does it work? So Apache Glue is a fully managed extract, transform, and load. It's a kind of ETL service provided by Amazon. It allows users to easily move the data between data stores and data warehouse in the cloud. Glue works by providing a managed ETL service that automatically discovers and catalogs metadata and generates ETL codes to move the data between the sources and targets. So it's out of the box services ETL provided by AWS. So what is Amazon SNS and how does it work? So simple notification service. Don't confuse with alerting. So it's a messaging service provided by Amazon Web Service. It allows users to send and receive message between distributed applications or service. SNS works by enabling the publishing and subscribing of messages to the topics and the delivering message to the subscriber using the supported protocols. So AWS Cloud Trail and how does it work? So let's go through this. So Amazon Cloud Trail is a service provided by Amazon Web Services that provides visibility into user account activities and resource changes in the AWS. So it allows users to monitor and audit their AWS accounts and resources and ensure compliance with regulatory standards. Cloud Trail works by logging API calls made in the AWS account and storing the logs in the Amazon S3 for analysis. So in simple term, it's the audit role managed by AWS and the data is stored in S3 for analysis. Okay, what is AWS Step Functions and how does it work? So AWS Step Functions is a serverless workflow service provided by AWS. It allows users to coordinate the components of distributed applications, a service using the visual workflow. So Step Functions works by defining and executing the state machines that coordinate the flow of the data and tasks between the service and or the applications. This is how it works in AWS. Okay, what does an AMI include, right? So this is quite important. An AMI include the following things: a template for the root volume of the instance, for the instance. Launch permissions decide which AWS accounts can avail the AMI to launch the instance. And a block device mapping that determines the volumes to attach to the instance when it is launched. So what is AWS Storage Gateway and how does it work? This could be quite common questions for AWS. So AWS Storage Gateway is a hybrid cloud storage service provided by the Amazon Web Services. It allows users to integrate on-premises storage environments with cloud storage seamlessly. So Storage Gateway works by providing virtual storage appliances that connect on-premises applications and servers to AWS Cloud Storage Services. So in short, if you want to connect your storage, on-premises storage with the AWS storage, this is the gateway that help you. So the next question is, what is AWS Direct Connect Gateway and how does it work? So AWS Direct Connect Gateway is a service provided by Amazon's web service that allows users to connect multiple Amazon VPCs and their on-premises infrastructure to AWS Direct Connect. So Direct Connect Gateway works by providing a central hub that allows users to connect multiple VPCs and on-premises environments to AWS Direct Connect securely and efficiently. So in short, it's just a connection gateway between the on-premises and the VPCs of AWS. So what is AWS Code Pipeline and how does it work, right? So AWS Code Pipeline is a continuous delivery service provided by Amazon Web Service. It allows users to automate the release of their applications and the service to production. Code Pipeline works by providing a pipeline for continuous delivery that consists of stages such as the source code management, build, test, and deployment, and automating the transition between the stages. So if you have already worked in the Jenkins, it's a kind of such build, or Bamboo, this is an automated build, right? So that's a similar services provided by AWS. So what is Amazon Neptune and how does it work? So Amazon Neptune is a fully managed graph database service provided by Amazon Web Service. It allows users to store and query large scale of graphs such as social networking, recommendation engines, and fraud detection systems. Neptune works by providing a high performance graph database that is optimized for storing and querying large scale graphs and supporting popular graph queries languages such as Javelin and SparkQL. So this is the popular graph query language that is supported by the Amazon Neptune. So what is AWS Certificate Manager and how does it work, right? So AWS Certificate Manager is a service provided by AWS that allows users to provision, manage, and deploy SSL and TSL certificates for their AWS-based applications and services. So it allows users to secure their web traffic and meet compliance requirements. And Certificate Manager works by providing a managed and a service for SSL and TSL certificates and integrating with other AWS services such as Elastic Load Balancing and CloudFront. So it's just managing all the certificates like SSL and TSL for your AWS resources. So what is AWS AppSync and how does it work, right? So AWS AppSync is a fully managed GraphQL service provided by Amazon Web Service. So it allows users to build scalable and secure API for their applications and services and query data from the multiple data sources. So AppSync works by providing a managed GraphQL API layers and integrating with other AWS services such as DynamoDB, Lambda, and Elasticsearch. So what is AWS organization and how does it work? So AWS organization is a service provided by Amazon Web Service that allows users to manage multiple AWS accounts from a single place. So it allows users to create and manage accounts in a hierarchical structure and apply policies and controls across the accounts. So organization works by providing a consolidated view of AWS accounts and enable users to manage accounts. So if any organization or a company have more than one AWS accounts and that applies different policies, and this is the services that AWS provided to manage all those accounts. So what is AWS Kinesis and how does it work? So AWS Kinesis is a managed service provided by AWS Web Services that allows users to collect, process, and analyze real-time streaming data at a scale. So it allows users to build data processing applications that can process millions of data streams in a real time. Kinesis works by providing a scalable and durable data streaming platform that can handle large volumes of data and process in a real time. So what is AWS Frigate and how does it work, right? So AWS Frigate is a serverless compute engine provided by AWS that allows users to run container without having to manage the underlying infrastructure. So it allows users to focus on their applications and services without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. Fargate works by providing a platform for running containers and integrated with other AWS services such as ECS and EKS. I guess we already covered about ECS, Elastic Container Services, right? So how can you send a request to the Amazon S3? So yeah, this would be common questions. How to access the S3? So it is a REST service. So you can send a request by using a REST API or the AWS SDK wrapper libraries that wrap the underlying Amazon S3 REST API. So S3 is generally a REST service, so you can browse by REST API. So what is the difference between AWS S3 and EC2? Okay. The difference between the EC2 and the Amazon S3 is that EC2 is a cloud web service used for hosting your applications, where S3 is a data storage systems where any amount of data can be stored. And EC2 is like a large computer machine which can run either Windows or the Linux and can handle applications like Python, PHP, Apache, or etc. like Java or any databases, where S3 has a REST interface that uses secure HMAC authentication keys. So how many buckets you can create in AWS by default? Most commonly asked, would be tricky. So by default, we can create up to 100 buckets of each of your AWS accounts. So what is a T2 instance? So T2 instance are designed to provide moderate baseline performance and the capability to burst to higher performance as required by a workload. So what are the security best practice for Amazon EC2s? Yeah, quite good questions. So these are the steps. Restrict access by allowing only trusted hosts or networks to access the ports of your instance. Use AWS identity and access management to control the access to your AWS resources. IAM, we have already gone. Review the rules in your security groups regularly if somebody has modified. And open required permissions only, don't open. By default, it should be denied. And disable password-based login, for example, launched from your AMI or etc. So by default, everything should be disabled. When required, then only enable anything. What are key pairs in the AWS? So key pairs are secure login information for your virtual machines. So to connect to the instance, you can use key pairs which contains a public key and a private key. It's a authentication information. So what are the different types of instance, right? So generally there are 5: general purpose, computer optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized, and accelerated computing. So these are the different types of instance we have in the AWS. Okay, so how many elastic IPs are allowed to be created by AWS? So each AWS account is allowed to create 5 VPC elastic IP addresses at the moment. So explain the roles in the AWS. So this is very important, very useful, mostly used as a part of authentication and authorization. So in AWS, roles are used to provide permissions to entities which you can trust within your AWS account. So roles are very similar to the users. However, with the role, you do not require to create any username and password to work with the resources. So what are the advantages of auto scaling? More popular, right? So auto scaling everywhere. So generally offer the fault tolerance, better availability, and better cost management. For example, if you don't need, it will decrease the resources. If you need more resources, it will automatically increase the memory or storage or instance. All these is managed by auto scaling. So what is meant by subnet? So subnet is a large section of IP addresses divided into chunks. So this is quite one-liner questions or answers in the AWS. So what are the some DB engines which can be used in AWS, right? RDS, relation database. So there are few. So popular are MS SQL DB, MariaDB, MySQL DB, Oracle DB, and Postgres DB. These are the RDS. So when was EC2 officially launched? So just one-liner questions and answer. So EC2 was officially launched in the year 2006. So how to connect EBS volume to the multiple instance? So we cannot able to connect EBS volume to multiple instance. So this is a tricky question. However, you can connect various EBS volumes to a single instance. So always remember these things. This could be asked as a tricky question. So what are the different types of cloud services, provided by AWS, right over here? Not only AWS, lot. So SaaS, you would have heard, software services. DaaS, like data as a service. PaaS, like platform as a service. And IaaS as infrastructure as a service. So these are the 4 most popular cloud services. What are the storage class available in Amazon? So there are different storage class provided in the Amazon in S3 especially. So like Amazon S3 standard, Amazon S3 standard infrequent access, Amazon S3 reduced redundancy storage, Amazon Glacier These all needs to be selected depending on your requirement, because this has a different accessibility and the cost. So what are the important features of Amazon Cloud Search? So important feature of Amazon Cloud Search are as follows. So Boolean search we have there, prefix search, we have a range search, we have entire text search, and autocomplete advice. These are the different features that Amazon Cloud Search provides. So this is all about this video, 50 interview questions and answer for AWS. Hope this has helped you a lot. If you need such kind of more videos, please like, share and comment, and subscribe for the channel, and I'll be providing more and more videos in coming days. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please provide comments and feedback.